Bulletproof Radio, a state of high performance.
You're listening to Bulletproof Radio with Dave Asprey. Today's cool fact of the day is that 1 out of 4 men prefer to turn the lights off during lovemaking. Now that might be a precursor to what we're going to talk about on the show today. So if you have little ones present who simply don't know anything about the birds and the bees, well, maybe this isn't the right episode for you, but we won't get too crazy. Before you find out who today's guest is, though, I would totally love it if you went over to iTunes right now and you left some feedback, because it's amazing what happens when you just take a few seconds to leave a 5-star review. It helps other people find the show, and that just provides more leverage for the time and energy that goes into interviews like this so that you can learn actionable, useful stuff. And while you're at it, check out bulletproof.com, because we have a bunch of new types of coffee. We've got the Mentalist roast, and we've got French Kick, a roast that's dark but not burned. So you'll find that if you head over there, there's now those plus our Bulletproof Process decaf in the original roast. So no matter how you like your coffee, we can get you the best beans, the cleanest beans that make you feel amazing. That's on bulletproof.com. Today's guest is none other than Dr. Emily Morse. She's the host and creator of the successful and wildly popular Sex with Emily podcast and website, which, by the way, has the best, most marketable name ever because you cannot forget that name. She's also the author of a book called Hot Sex, Over 200 Things You Can Try Tonight. And she's a founder of Kegel Camp, which is an app that is a fun and easy way for men and women to get the benefits of Kegel exercises. And yes, men can do Kegel exercises. And no, you probably don't want to use a Kegel barbell if you're a man. Just saying. Emily, welcome to the show.
So great to be on your show again, Dave. I'm so happy for you and all your success. Bulletproof.
Likewise.
I love it.
I've been seeing Ask Emily columns everywhere, and I haven't dared to ask you any of those deep personal questions myself, but that's why we have a show. We can ask all those questions.
Can't wait. I'm open. Whatever you got, ask me.
All right.
Discuss.
I want to know, because it is, this end of the year season and things like that, the top tech items that can improve your sex life.
Okay.
What are some of the things that you think are most interesting right now?
This is a good question, because as part of my job, I have to travel around the world to different sex conferences and see what the latest and greatest things that are happening for sex. So one of them is there's like a 5-minute fix now for women's libido. Imagine that. One of the top questions I get asked is, I don't want, from women and men, why doesn't my partner want to have sex with me? I have low libido, no desire. What do we do about it? And as we know, female Viagra will not ever exist, at least during our time. So there's a product called the Fiera. And it's a product that when you use it regularly, a woman attached, so she lays back in bed, uses it 5 minutes a day, and she attaches to your clitoris using gentle suction, right? So what this does is it stimulates her physical arousal. And so there's blood that rushes to her clitoris. It's not a vibrator. But what it does do is it spikes her arousal. Using it once a week for a month, she's going to realize it without pills, without anything. It was developed by medical professionals for women. There was nothing else like this. I've tried it. We've all tried it. That's another perks of our jobs. We get to try everything on the market, and it's pretty amazing.
Okay, so is this like a little battery-operated suction device kind of thing, or is it like a little plunger?
It's not a plunger, so it kind of looks like a little butterfly. So it's kind of like a warm-up. So it looks like a little. It's like the size of your palm, and you put it on, and it's got this indicator light. You'd like this. It's like when it makes an attachment, a connection, suction, the light turns blue, and you sit there for 5 minutes, and you charge it up like you would a vibrator, and it just has this gentle vibration waves, but not like a vibrator, but it brings the blood to the clitoris, so women are getting more turned on this way, and then you take it off and you can have sex, and women are reported, and they develop again. It was team of professionals.
Okay.
It's awesome.
So you use this thing, it's called the Fiera. You use it before sex, or just like use it every morning so then you'll just be more aroused all the time?
Use it before sex, use it in the morning as like part of your routine. And women are reporting that once they get that blood flowing and they're going, that they don't even need to use it as often because they're already in the mood for it. Because what happens is we get so distracted with our, men, you get turned on with, you see someone walking down the street, you're like, I'm ready to go. For women, if our brain's not on board and our body will not follow. So if you lay down, you're trying to, and this is going to stimulate you 5 minutes a day, you start to think about sex more, you're having sex more, you're going to want sex more, and it'll increase overall desire for sex. So it's kind of a warm up for women who have decreased libido.
Well, that sounds
It's
automated.
It sounds
I kind of like the idea. I'm like, I'm just brushing my teeth in the morning and like doing my daily arousal. It's just kind of funny, actually.
Because guys don't need to do that, but for women, they're like, I don't want to take a pill. I don't, don't want to have sex. So it's 5 minutes. You lay back, and then you kind of look forward to it because it's like this. It feels good, You're like, oh, okay, and I want, now I think I'm ready. I would like to have some sex, and it's working, and it was developed by a team of women and professionals. So it's just like, it is the number one question I get asked wherever I go. Yeah. And every woman thinks they're the only one dealing with it. I get pulled aside at parties like, I don't want to have sex anymore. What do I do? I don't have the desire. And then the men are like, she doesn't want to have sex. So if this device, you buy it, you wear it, a few times a week and it can help, which we've all tried it. It does work.
So that may sound weird if you're in your mid-20s and you don't have this problem. You're like, what the heck? Why are these people talking about it? Over time, this is a major issue. I hear about it all the time from people as well. They're like, how do I hack that? And
it's a hack.
I'm not a sexologist, but one of the things that got a lot of attention at the Bulletproof Conference this year, which you missed, by the way, is... I know you were traveling.
I was in Amsterdam at a sex conference learning about the Fiera, but I would have loved to have been there.
Amsterdam has some pretty good sex conferences, I hear, so I can see why you made that decision. I would have been there too, just kidding. But what we did is I had my stem cells taken out, and my wife, Dr. Lana, had her stem cells taken out, actually extracted from our own fat, and then re-injected at various parts of the body. So all sorts of injury sites. But I had my stem cells injected into, well, they call it the P shot. You can imagine where it was injected. And Lana, who's in her late 40s, had her stem cells injected, in addition to all the normal like injury sites and things like that, into what they call the O shot. So like
I've
basically,
they've been wanting me to do this. Keep going.
Dude.
Yeah.
So profound changes in a week, like back to 25 years old again, like giant changes that are just not even believable.
She did the O shot.
She did the O shot. So they did it into the vaginal walls and into the clitoris. And like she talked about this on stage. So you're like, well, that's the downside of being a professional biohacker is sometimes you broadcast a video of what your toes look like when the needle goes in. So you see this video of my toes going, because it was kind of painful to get the shots. But both of us experienced renewed vigor, as you might say.
I've heard all about the O shot. They've been wanting to get me in there. So tell me. Yeah.
You should try it. She's a mother of 2 kids, and things shift over time. And well, they shifted back really, really radically and really quickly. Things like, oh, my toes curl again, and pretty cool stuff. So there are definitely things that you can do that are libido related, and even just a little bit of suction like you're talking about, more blood flow. More blood flow on a regular basis equals cells actually come back to life. They're not dead.
Exactly.
But they're senescent, like they're asleep. They don't have enough metabolic activity. So just a change in blood flow is kind of cool.
That's exactly what it is. I was going to say that it just like, it creates the physical arousal that'll like stimulate like your brain to be thinking about it again, because it does kind of dormant. If you're not paying attention to it, stimulating it with the O shot. I love that you did. I got to talk to her about it. I'll watch it. Did you tape all the conference?
Oh, yeah. The whole conference proceedings are available online. I'll get you a pass. It's probably bulletproofconference.com, I think is the right thing, but we'll get you the code because we have the proceedings all there. And it was...
Yeah, keep going.
It was kind of cool because a lot of people listening, you're like, okay, either we're all just like kind of talking about this for no reason, but here's the thing. We also had a guy who goes by the name of Dr. Love, Paul Zach, who's an expert in oxytocin, talk about oxytocin. And what's happening here is if you don't have a functioning sex life, is your ability to perform in the boardroom, show up as a parent or as a spouse, as a friend, as an employee, whatever it is you do in life. If you're not dealing with that part of it, it affects your neurotransmitters. Like it affects your happiness levels.
Oh yeah.
And so you've got to address this stuff. And if you can do it better or faster, or have some kind of technology, or do whatever turns you on, even if it involves whatever turns you on, it doesn't matter. It's important that you pay attention to those things.
But the other thing I want to say, Dave, is it was interesting. You said, well, if you're in your 20s, you don't have to worry about it. When you're in a long-term relationship, if you're in your 20s and you've been dating someone for 2 years, my producer, she's been in a relationship for 3 years, and she's like, God, she was more excited than anybody. Been living with her boyfriend, she's 28, to try it, because she's like, if you've been living, you're living with someone, same thing over and over again. It's biology. The honeymoon phase will end, everybody. It happens in every relationship, and everyone's so surprised that, God, I no longer want to have sex anymore as much as I did those first 6 months. So it is.
It's eating the same flavor of ice cream every day for the rest of your life. I mean, you might want to put some chocolate sauce on there. That's all I'm saying.
Like just a little chocolate, little sprinkles.
Yeah, like whatever little variations are good. And if it's a piece of technology, that's cool. But I agree. And this is something that no one told me when I was in my 20s. I don't think people talk about this very much. And your columns and your writing, you talk about this quite a bit. But for listeners who are earlier in the stages of adult development, the Ericksonian stages there, this happens to pretty much all of us over time. And I just turned 44, and it's amazing what changes over time, even if you're doing anti-aging stuff.
No, it is absolutely true. And I always wonder why, because I get hundreds of emails a day to my inbox. Sex Only site, if you have questions, we answer them on the podcast. And literally, it's like they realized, it was like they were the first one that realized like the world wasn't flat. They're like, oh my God, I no longer want to have sex. I love my boyfriend. We've been together 2 years. It's like nobody prepares you for this. And I always tell couples, you prepare for everything else. You move in together. You kind of decide on what color you're going to paint the room. You might start saving for a 401k. Are we going to move to the country or the city? But you don't talk about your sex life, because just know it is going to wane. There will be challenges. It's part of being in a relationship. So we talk about that a lot. Prepare for it. Don't be so shocked. We have things you can do.
And something that actually inspires me is that it may be social media that did it, or just the ease of communication. But I find that people, like I look back to the way I was when I was 20, and I was pretty resistant to outside information, and so were a lot of the people around me. And I find that the younger people I get to hang out with now, they're actively seeking to avoid the kind of mistakes that I was like, I'll make those mistakes myself. And it's kind of cool, because they'll ask the questions on your show and they'll listen to the answer, whereas I wouldn't even ask the question back then. Right.
And I think back then we didn't even know what the questions were. Like my sex education was abysmal. And my mom would say, if you got any questions, ask me. Well, I didn't even know what to ask. I was a boomer. I never had an orgasm. I didn't think to masturbate. I didn't know. And so now it's like we kind of know. And there's so many places not a lot of places to get great sex information. My website, I hope. But in sex education is, like I said, abysmal. But yeah, now people are more curious. So it's good.
They're more curious and just more open to playing with what's happening and just to learning from others. So I'm happy that you're talking about the changes that happen in relationships. What other? Oh wait, hold on. No. There's something else I'm just sort of going back through, because my first book is about fertility. I'm going back through this. Other thing that happens that no one talks about, and you may have addressed this on one of your shows, but if not, I want to hear your thoughts on this, or if you've heard about it. When you're on the pill, it changes how you sense your mate's smell. So we're attracted to people based on smell and a bunch of other things. But so a woman will be really attracted to her boyfriend. They get married. She goes off the pill, and all of a sudden he's not attractive anymore. This is like scary stuff. So like my advice for people who are on the pill, number one, if you want to live a long time and not get cancer and all that stuff, quit messing with your hormones, get off the pill and start like tracking your ovulation and just like learn how your body works.
Right.
But okay, if you're not going to do that, get off the pill for at least 6 months before you get married, because if you lose attraction to the person that you think is the one, you might want to know that before you have babies. Just saying, right?
I totally agree with you. I mean, the pill, here's the other thing that we didn't find out. Your doctor goes in and he gives you a pill. He doesn't tell you, guess what? Besides all the attraction stuff, You might get depressed, you're going to be bloated, all these side effects that no one tells you. And they also don't tell you that you can adjust it. That if this pill doesn't work for you, you might need another kind of birth control. Adjust it, the different level estrogen, progesterone, IUD, whatever you want to get. And they warn you of nothing. When young girls who are getting it, they're like, I don't want to go back to the doctor. Hard enough to get an appointment. So there's all these things around the pill that I think you're right. Just use condoms. get maybe take some time, figure it out. You're right, but it is true. What if you made this big mistake? You wake up and smell your husband, and he's the wrong guy for you. Wake up and smell the roses, smell the husband. Yeah.
There's other things too. The more I dig into how our bodies work and the delicate dance we have with the environment around us, the reason you're attracted to the smell of your husband and he's attracted to you is that signals biological genetic compatibility. So you are at a very low level wired to not want to have sex with people who aren't going to give you good babies. And so if you mess with that system, it's just not going to end well. And it's not that you can't have a healthy baby. It's just that the baby won't be as healthy as it could have been had you allowed your body to help you choose someone you're attracted to.
Right. I know. It's fascinating.
It is.
This happened? Your wife got off the pill and she was like,
She didn't like me in the first place. She was just using me for my good looks.
No change. You look good, David. I gotta say, you look.
Just kidding. She wasn't on the pills. She, being a trained physician who looked at the side effects, was like, "This is bad news. I'm not doing that."
I know it is bad news. I mean, even my nieces, they're like getting on the pill. I'm like, God, can we talk? Not the best thing.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about Kegel exercises, because this is something that I actually haven't written about, I don't believe, on the Bulletproof website, but it's something I've known about for a long time, something that guys absolutely should be doing, something that I've actually done for a long time, and something that a lot of women do. So let's talk about Kegel exercises first for women, what they are, what the benefits are, if you have any hacks for them, and then tell me about Kegel exercises for men, because I think a lot of people don't know about this.
Okay, so Kegel exercises are another way. They're kind of like they're kind of a little bit of magic. There's some magic to doing your Kegels, and they don't take that much time. If you do them a few times a week, you'll see so many improvements. So let's talk about them for women. If you don't know what they are, it's those best way to describe it. I've not found a more elegant way, but it's those pee-stopping muscles when you stop and start the flow of urine. Like if you're going to the bathroom and someone knocks on the door and you stop it, it's those muscles. And what you do is 5 minutes a day, you tense, relax them. Tense, relax. You hold them for like 10 seconds, relax. I have an iPhone app called Kegel Camp that I created because doctors always tell you to do them and you never remember. So it can remind you twice a day to do them as many times, and it gets harder. There's 20 levels. The point is you do them, and these muscles atrophy over time. They just will. Your pelvic floor, like everything else, will drop. But even no matter what age you are, it's important to work them. And for women, you can have stronger orgasms. After childbirth, a lot of women suffer from urinary incontinence. You sneeze and you pee, not so fun. And it's just healthy to keep those muscles strong. And so it's just, for a lot of women, for myself, I haven't had kids, but I was feeling like, practice what I preach. I'm going to do them. And I have to say, just like the Fiera for libido, I felt like it enhanced my libido because we just shut down that whole part of our body, women, we're like neck up. And so just the fact of 5 minutes a day breathing into it, it's like I've got Kegels of steel. Like I wish I could show you. But, I did things like that. But it's like I'm having stronger orgasms. I'm desiring sex more because I'm drawing attention to that area. And so
now,
talking about, yeah.
You don't have to be naked to do these. Like you could be doing Kegel exercises right now and I wouldn't know.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I've been doing them the whole show.
Me too.
My goal is when I'm a guest on other people's podcasts. No, but here's the thing. Doctors are always like, oh, when you're doing them, when you're at a traffic light, do them. And people can get those routines down like every time. I have a friend who say every time I'm on the phone, I do them. But I am not, I forget. So that's why my app is like reminder and then walks you through it. So yes, you could do them anywhere. You could do them, it tends to relax those muscles. And the thing is, a lot of people do them incorrectly. So, I've got some information on my site and they squeeze their butts too much, but it's like these delicate muscles that you just got to make sure you tense and relax them. Again, 5 minutes it helps. And then
You hold them for 5 minutes straight, or you tense on and off for 5 minutes?
the entire exercise routine is 5 minutes. You can do 3 if you want to hack it, right?
But are you holding for 5 seconds? Like I'm assuming there's women listening to this right now who are like, okay, I'm going to try this.
Okay, so when you hold them for 5 seconds, release for, so you tense, relax, 5 seconds, tense and hold. Now on my app, and again, you don't have to use my hyping like my app.
What's the name? What's the name of the app?
It's called Kegel Camp.
Kegel Camp. All right. So if you want that, Android and iPhone.
Just iPhone. We're working
Just
on
iPhone.
I've had it out for 5 years.
The Android people are going to be yelling and posting. You Android people are so angry.
They're so angry at me every day. They email me. I'm going to get it on there. I swear. But I've had it for years. I just had, there's so many things going on. I got to get it on Android. But, and I'm going to be honest, there's other apps too, but mine's the best. However, there might be an Android version of something else. But it gets hard. So when I first launched the app, I only had 10 levels. And how it gets increasingly more difficult is you hold them longer. So it's still a 5-minute routine or 3-minute, but then you tense and hold for 10 seconds and release it for 10 seconds. Or you do rapid ones, you play with it. But it's still the same muscles, and you just, like any other kind of exercise routine, you mix up your routine. And it gets increasingly harder. So I released it at 10 levels thinking, is anyone really going to do it? Well, they were like, I've got to 10, now what? So now there's 20 levels. And people are like, oh my God. I mean, I have guys, so we'll talk about the benefits for men. I've got guys who are like, oh my God, now I shoot across the room like I'm 19 years old, for example, when they ejaculate. They're like, you know what I mean? I can maintain my erection longer. I can, for the prostate for men. And men and women do them the same way. We all have those, the pelvic floor muscles, the Kegel muscles to work on. For women, the new technology this year was a product called the Intensity by Pourmois. These are all on my website as well, sexwithemily.com. But the coolest thing about this product is, oh God, I love this. But I don't know, wish you could do this for every kind of exercise, is that it's an insertable product. You put inside, it looks, well, kind of is a vibrator, to be honest. It looks like a rabbit vibrator. But it uses gentle electrostimulation 5 to 8 minutes a day or 4 times a week. And it stimulates your Kegel muscles, so it actually does it for you. You lie back in bed, read a mat, check out your phone, return email, and I'm telling you, I don't even have to do them on my own. It totally works, and it feels good. And then it's a vibrator, and at the end, you're like, okay, you get a little reward here.
I reward you for your workout. So if people listening think that's skeptical, I just have to tell you, like, straight up, the vast majority of how my whole body looks right now comes from vibration and electrical stimulation. Like, it puts on muscle. Like, I use the Bulletproof Vibe, which is the standing vibration platform that I manufacture. And like, you can like look at me. I'm not like the most ripped. The New York Times says I'm almost muscular, which is what I want to be. But there's that, and I put electrodes on my arm, and I run the same kind of currents but heavier over my body. Like, that's what I do.
You're sitting home like eating popcorn, exercising?
I stand for 10 minutes a day on a platform while I'm on the phone, and it vibrates 30 times a second. I do little yoga poses, like one-legged forward folds or squats. But I'm not like working out squats. I'm on the phone doing them. I just stand there, and then I run electricity once or twice a week. And sometimes I lift heavy stuff, like maybe once every 2 weeks, and I go for a walk every now and then. But like literally, I work out less than anyone I know, and I'm looking pretty good for a mid-40s guy.
I was like, why do you look so good? Is it all bulletproof? No, I mean, you really...
Well, I do the bulletproof stuff. I had my own stem cells put in my blood. Like, I do everything. I'm going to live to 180 years old. Like, there's nothing on earth that I don't do, but I don't exercise all the time. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is, like, this is an example. The 2 technologies that you're talking about there, like electrical stimulation, and what I don't really like put myself in whole body suction, except actually I do. I have a machine that takes me to 22,000 feet elevation. Literally, it like removes air pressure and then puts it back. So it's like for my whole body all at the same time. It's like a space capsule thing. Anyway, this is biohacking craziness.
I love biohacking craziness workout. Because I always say, what if you could do something that would do your sit-ups for you? When I was talking about this in my show. And how amazing would that be if you have to go to the gym and you're telling me you've actually invented this?
Well, no, actually, that's Suzanne Sommer. She's been on the show too. That ab blaster stuff with the electrical stim, it's not a joke. When you run electrical current over your muscles, the right waveforms, they totally work.
Okay.
There's even like a face master that she makes where it's like electrical stim around your eyes. She sent me one and it's really cool. I don't use it regularly because I don't have all sorts of toys. But when you do use it, oh my God, if you have like crow's feet and bags, you can shock them away in 2 minutes.
Okay.
And it like exercises your face
On
muscles.
my show, if you're not going to use it, I'm totally going to use it.
Awesome. I'm sure she'll.
Crow's feet. No, so this is the same kind of thing. Yeah, this intensity. You put it inside if you're like, I can't do it, and it's a vibrator. So hey, and it also will stimulate libido. But that's so cool. I love you're doing all this stuff.
Well, I'm just saying that stuff really works for muscle development. And if you're a woman of any age, or frankly a guy, although we don't get as much attention down there from electrical current stuff, but like these kinds of things to increase strength in the pelvic floor, it goes beyond just sexual interest and performance. They talk about your core muscles in your meditation and like the Eastern yoga side of things. That's the lowest of the what do we call them? I'm blanking on the locks. There's three different locks. There's mudras, budras. And so there's basically a root lock that's called. There's also a throat lock. So when you have a strong core, in other words, the perineum area, it actually grounds you and enables you to move energy up your central column. So this goes beyond just like I'm good in bed and I have powerful orgasms. It's like I am more present as a woman or a man because the core of my very core is strong.
I'm so glad you brought that up because it's actually, I do a lot of meditation and breathing, and I realize a lot of times I was very, chest up. I wasn't as connected, with all my yoga and all the spiritual and meditating for 20 years. Oftentimes, you go through your day, this whole part of me can be just shut down. So when you're breathing into your pelvic floor while you're doing these exercises and strengthening your pelvic floor, it does have an amazing impact on your entire body and your entire well-being. You're so right.
All right, so this tech, these are like biohacking tech for sex, but this was called Intensity, and it was by Pour Me or something.
Like For Me in French, POURMOI.com.
All
and
right.
it's all on my website because they sent me one, and I'm like, because I would never talk about a product that I didn't, I try everything. Luckily, we get like 25 pounds of sex toys sent to us today. So happy
you have
to
a good life, don't you?
I really do. I have to say, like some guy emailed me. I'm actually doing these dating apps now for fun and a test, and maybe we'll get to that. But he was like, how did you manage to turn my favorite hobby into your career? I'm like, because it's sex. It's amazing. It's fun. But I was happy to get your Bulletproof coffee the other day because I was like, usually it's toys. That was actually a nice change from what we usually.
I don't recommend ground coffee for use down there, but
I was like, oh my God, it's coffee in the mug. And I love Contigo that you use Contigo because I'm obsessed with Contigo everything.
They make some amazing mugs. The Bulletproof Contigo mug. Like I tested 100 mugs to find one that was like the perfect one. Yeah.
No, I gift it to all my friends. The Contigo everything. They're water bottles. I have it right here. I have 15 of them. Like every part of my life, I have because they don't spill. They're amazing. Yeah. But so yeah, I do the best job ever. And they sent to me. I'm like, really? Like, am I going to do this? And then sure enough, it became part of I meditate. I do my Kegels. I do this thing, and it all works.
All right. I'm just going to go there. My wife will probably kill me, but given that I mentioned I do my exercise with electrical stimulation, it is conceivably possible that you could put the negative electrodes on one person and the positive electrodes on another person. Mm-hmm. And then the areas where the two people are contacting that have the most electrical flow, which would be the wettest areas, might carry the most current.
Okay.
Does anyone ever say anything like that?
I know. I missed it there. I don't even,
right.
Lost me.
So it's possible during sex to have electrical current, like the TENS units, the ones you can buy, the cheap $10 massage me kind of electrical current things. You what?
Oh, you're talking about electrostimulation, like vibrator.
Like the vibrator thing that you were just talking about.
Yeah, okay, got it.
But you can actually take, if you have a positive terminal and a negative terminal, you can put them on different sex partners.
Right.
So then the areas where you come together actually literally carry a small tingling electrical current.
Right.
which means that your lips, your fingers, and well, the obvious areas
Right.
are going to do that. So given that I have electrical stimulation equipment that changes physiology, I'm like, how could I not try something like that?
Right.
Or theoretically try
It's a
something.
huge thing right now. I've got a whole vibrator kit here they sent me that's all people use it for electroplay, for sex. So there's all these vibrators now. That's, it goes beyond vibrations, but that shock to your system can actually be a great turn on for people. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But there's like I'm just going to shock myself. But it's one thing when basically one person is half of the connection, the other person's the other half of the connection. So only the areas where you touch does the electrical current flow.
Right, exactly. And it can feel really good. But just kind of like if you give yourself a massage, it won't feel so good. But if someone else is stimulating you, it can feel amazing.
Exactly.
Or not.
And it also it kind of connects your nervous systems in a weird way. But do you think there's any danger in this stuff? Not like your heart's going to stop, that it's not like that. But are there long-term safety studies for this stuff that you're aware of?
I haven't heard. I mean, you always hear about dangers with sex when they take it too far, like, autoerotic asphyxiation. I don't encourage that. Make sure, or even bondage with like shibari ropes and they do stuff. You got to be careful with everything. I haven't heard these devices. I mean, yes, with this electric stimulation, you can go too far and like with everything, but I haven't heard and I read everything about sex. I've never heard anybody, completely shocking themselves to the point of anything super.
Yeah, I don't think there's any short-term risk. I just wonder, I believe long-term electrical stimulation actually makes your cells stronger. It adds electrons to your mitochondria. Terry Walls, who's been on the show, who wrote the book Mind D, My Mitochondria, actually used the electrical stim to cure her MS. So she got out of a wheelchair using battery-powered stim.
I don't know
along with diet and everything else. So I think we're doing good things, but there are a group of people out there who will be like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And my advice for everyone listening is if it's plugged into the wall, don't stick it inside you. If it's battery powered and it doesn't have a rotating motor, it's probably not going to have a big electrical field. If it's a vibrator, it may have a small electrical field and it may not be good for you over long periods of time. We don't know.
And this intensity actually takes like 2 AA batteries. So it's not into the wall and you can't really, you start at a really low speed, but who knows, just like everything else. People are like, oh, can vibrators, are they bad for you? Are they going to numb you? Moderation, people pay attention to your body. Don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know we'd go into that level of detail in electrical play, but I did have Mistress Natalie on a while ago, a professional dominatrix from New York, and she went way deeper on that stuff than I ever thought, so no problem.
Right. No, why not? People just, I think sex, it's going to become a little, how do you know what you're going to be into? People are like, oh, I can never do that, or that's way outside my, my box, but I don't know, just like if you eat the same meal every day, the same kind of sex every day, why not try something new? Why not experiment with it? You might, who knows, maybe it feels good to get shocked during sex with the right, I don't know.
Yeah, or at least have some tingly stuff in the right places if it's not getting shocked. Yeah. And there's, the bottom line is that we're humans here to have an experience and to have experiences. So if there's an experience you're attracted to, my advice would be, if no one's getting hurt, at least not very much, go for it. You might like it, right? The worst you'll do is not like it and then say, don't do that anymore. So.
Yeah, that's what I always tell my listeners. I'm like, well, why not? I think that we have such a limited view of what kind of pleasure we can have from sex because we have sex the same way, typically over and over and over again. Oh, I can only have an orgasm this way, on top, on the bottom, or I only feel good in this position. And it's like, well, how do you know? Just because that's how you've always done it, that's like the biggest curse in language. Like, we've always done it this way, right? To say that this is, so why not try something like, even in my office, again, best job ever, I had a woman who worked for me and she was like, I've never had a multiple orgasm, so obviously it won't happen. I was like, well, how do you know it won't happen? She's like, I just know. We make decisions like this all the time. I said, well, try this. I gave her some tips. We were doing a Sex with Emily team does a sex toy review show podcast once a month. She came back in the next day and she said, I had 5. I'm like, wow, you even surpassed most people. So it's like we have such limitations about what we're going to like with sex or that it's always going to be the same. And I'm just saying, God, if you really want to have longevity with your sex life, attraction to your partner, or just even learn your own body, try some of these things. And it's sex. It's supposed to be fun and pleasurable. Go there. Try it.
It is indeed. And I love hearing that. Now, for the new year, a lot of people make resolutions. And I don't know how many people make sexual resolutions for the new year, but what resolutions to improve someone's sex life would you recommend?
God, I recommend that everybody adds in just one little sexual resolution because, again, we're talking about preventing what we know is going to happen, some kind of malaise in your sex life. I say resolve to masturbate with a purpose.
Like orgasm? Or some other purpose?
Okay, we know that's a sure thing. And you're thinking, you know what? I got my hand. Men are going, I do it all the time.
Like, how hard is that? Oh, wait.
Right, exactly. But for women, again, and men, we tend to masturbate the same way if we do it all women over and over and over again. And there's so much information that we can get from taking time to masturbate that will actually help us improve our sex life. Try new things, understand your body, I have nothing against watching porn, reading erotica, trying a new sex toy, exploring your body in different ways, using your fingers, nipple orgasm, second most common orgasm. How many women have had one of those? I haven't really focused on it. It's on my bucket list, but just with the purpose of knowing your body more and wanting more pleasure in the year. And then also you might learn some things that you never knew that it felt great when someone tickles the inside of your, wrist here or something, your forearm. And then you can share that with a partner and then, improve your sex life. So try new things, setting the mood, toys. I'm a huge fan of toys, different positions. Just don't stagnate there. Okay. Masturbation.
All right. So resolve, no stagnation. What about the role of shame? It seems like a lot of people are really ashamed that they might like something or they wouldn't like something. And it seems like the more shame that's associated with something, when someone does it, the more intense the experience for them.
Right.
At least that's what Mistress Natalie was talking about there.
Oh, God, there's so much shame.
Yeah. What's your take on that?
My take is, yes, there's so much shame when it comes to sex and to asking for what we want, to even admitting that we masturbate or that we enjoy sex. And it never goes away. I mean, for a lot of people, it doesn't go away. And it can start from childhood, religion, messages we got, especially as young girls. There's always that time in a young girl's life when we're maybe about 6 or 7 and everything's great. Maybe we're, we feel like we're just like the guys. It's a hot summer day. We're outside. Maybe we take our shirt off as well. And someone says, hey there, Emily, little Emily, put your shirt on. You're not supposed to be cross your legs. And so that's when the shame starts. We think, well, there's something wrong, with my body parts. I should be shameful of showing myself. I mean, yeah, you shouldn't walk around when you're 15 with your shirt off, but there's just something bad around our bodies. There's shame. We're not taught anything about pleasure. That actually can feel good. We're just taught cover up. Your body's just only for you to see. And these messages start at a very, very young age. And if that's the conditioning we got in our home, it's going to continue into our sex life. I mean, I talk to people of all ages, literally, that are just wow, but I just feel so bad talking about sex or masturbating still. And so, and I think just the way to get over that is to, realize that, sex is for your pleasure and to just kind of, it's reprogramming the mind really and realizing you're not going to hell. You actually might, you're going to experience so much more pleasure. All the serotonin, dopamine, everything will be spiked because of the pleasure you're getting from it. And it's really just kind of, just altering the way that you think around sex. But shame is a tough one. And so that's why couples don't often communicate around sex because they're afraid that they're going to be shamed for asking for what they want in bed, that a woman's going to feel, like she'll be judged as a slut because she knows that if she's in this position, this is the most pleasure. Or if a guy asks, for certain fantasy that he wants, just a pleasure, that he'll be judged. It's all messed up in our brains and it prevents us from having the best sex we can.
That's a good resolution for the beginning of the year, but also just any time. Just resolve to ask for something you want in bed that you've never had.
Right.
And that's a powerful thing to do. It's also a little bit scary for most people, but you'll probably find that if you do that, you might get what you ask for, and you might even like it, and your partner might like it, or they might not. But if you don't ask, you'll never know.
Exactly. I always say communication is a lubrication because the more that you actually practice talking to your partner about sex and what you like and what you want, you're going to find out that your sex life's going to improve, and it's like a muscle, like communicating about sex. We don't learn it. No one tells you how to do it. So yes, it will be a little uncomfortable the first time. But believe me, like the rewards are going to come back like tenfold. So just practice communicating and asking for what you want. And if it's not comfortable for you, I often say like make a sexual bucket list with your partner. Be like, these are the 5 things I want to try. And then you exchange lists, and see like, let's kind of put these on, January we'll do this, February, and your sex life could just go through the roof. Why not try? Life's too short not to have good sex.
It's totally true. Life is way too short for mediocre sex.
Yeah.
Now, we're coming up on the end of the show, and I'd love to ask you the bulletproof question.
Do it.
And since you've already been on the show once, right? Yeah, you've been on a while back, like last year sometime. Trying to remember the episode number. It's not coming to me. I don't have them all memorized. So you've already answered the original bulletproof question. So I'm going to ask you a different question.
Please do.
The normal question is, what are your top 3 recommendations for someone who comes to you and says, look, I want to perform better at everything I do in life? So you've already answered that question. However, if someone came to you tomorrow and said, what are your top 3 recommendations for performing better in the bedroom? What would you say? You only have 3 things you can recommend. What are they?
Okay.
Man
Number
or
one.
woman? It's got to be generic.
Okay, generic. I would say number 1 is performing better is masturbation. Even for men and women. Men are like, I don't have a problem with that, but like masturbate a little bit differently for men too. Like you think that, I've got my hand, it feels good. Try fleshlight. Try something different. Try prostate play. Masturbate. It's the best information you'll get about what feels good. So masturbation, communication, like just start, like I just said, communicate with your partner. That will help everybody across the board. Most people do not ask for what they want out of fear or shame, and then they're never going to get it, and then they have bad sex. So I'd say, like, it's kind of what I said, masturbate, communicate, and honestly, use lube. I'm telling you.
Top 3, I love it.
Top 3, lubrication. People are like, oh, don't worry, I don't have a problem. This is what everyone says to me. Oh, no, we don't have that problem. We're already wet. No. Guess what? Lube, my dream is a lube on every nightstand. Like literally, like Steve Jobs, computer, lube on every nightstand, because there's this stigma that if you use lube, it's because she's dry, there's discomfort, you didn't turn her on, it's embarrassing. And I'm not talking about KY jelly. Like I'm saying, like go get a good bottle of like System Joe lube or something that's great, and you add a few drops before you start sex on the clitoris or on your penis. I'm telling you, 80% of women in a study at Indiana University showed they were more likely to orgasm when you add a little lube. Those are my tips.
That sounds like a pretty good tip. All right, Emily, thank you for being on Bulletproof Radio and sharing some incredibly interesting new technologies around hacking your ability to have an orgasm. People can find out more at sexwithemily.com. They can subscribe to your podcast by the same name and find your content with Ask Emily pretty much all over the place now. Did I get all the good places? Yep,
all the good places. It's like it's all on my website. You can find it, and also social media. We do a lot of giveaways. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. It's all at Facebook at Sex with Emily across the board. Yeah, just go there. You'll learn it all because I'm everywhere on the web. But Sex with Emily is a good home base to start.
Awesome.
The podcast, all that.
Thanks for being on Bulletproof Radio this time.
So fun. Next time you're on Sex with Emily.
All right, it's a deal.
Okay. Thank you.
If you liked today's episode, you could head on over to iTunes and leave a 5-star ranking, which I always appreciate. Or if you want more, you could check out the box that I ship quarterly. Every quarter, I put together a couple $100 worth of new biohacking technology, sometimes software, but usually stuff, like really interesting devices, maybe even some of the types of devices and other things we talked about on the show today. I curate these. I spend 3 months putting this stuff together, getting really good deals, putting it into a box, and shipping it to you. So you spend $100 to get way more than $100 worth of stuff, and it's personally picked out by me as being biohacker approved. So I ship this to you quarterly. So if you want to get the Dave Asprey box that's shipped quarterly, you can go to biohacked.com and subscribe. When you subscribe, I'll immediately start making sure I get enough of all the things for you. And I usually include some very high value golden ticket items, which means that, for instance, in the last box, someone won a $15,000 5-day trip to the 40 Years of Zen most exclusive brain training program in the world right now, which is kind of cool. And quite often we give away things worth thousands of dollars to a few lucky winners. So you might want to check that out. You just subscribe, you always get way more than you pay for, and it's always approved by me, and I record a video telling you what all this stuff is for. That's at biohacked.com. That's biohacked. Okay, that's biohacked with an ED on the end.com. Just look for the Dave Asprey box.